Hey, what's up, everybody? We're going to do something a little bit different today. This is going to be sort of a pre-deck tech. Now, this is for basing around the new god that was just spoiled just sort of an hour ago. And everyone that I saw on Reddit was just like, oh my gosh, of course, the Demir god is a mill card. But, as a rogue deck builder, I am ecstatic that this is something, this is one of the gods that has sort of a mill thing, because milling is definitely fun, and I just don't think there was enough strong milling cards. Now this card just makes everything absolutely amazing. And I thought it'd be awesome to sort of make a deck around it, because, if people don't think this card's going to be popular, that'll be good for me, because it'll make it cheaper, so it's easier to access. And I'm perfectly fine with that. So one thing I noticed was that it is where X is the creature's toughness. It makes so if you don't know what Phenax does, it makes all your creatures have. You can tap it and target player mills where X is the creature's toughness. So every creature you have has that, including Phenax if it does get online. So the awesome thing about this, I thought instantly, defenders. Defenders are always sort of mill anyways. Things like Doorkeeper, but this just sort of makes things 10 times better. And then I thought of Prophet of Krufix, because I thought, if you're defending, you don't want to tap all your guys and try and mill them. But Prophet of Krufix allows you to play it a lot more aggressively, because all your lands and all your creatures will untap on your opponent's untap phase. So this allows you to pretty much defend throughout their turn. Because defenders automatically have larger toughness. And then at the end of the turn, you can just straight, flat out tap all of your guys for a huge amount of mill. I'm talking about 15 plus, and then it'll be your turn, and you can just do it over again. We're running a lot of awesome cards, a lot of defenders, and a lot of defenders that are high costing or high toughness for a low cost. But I just love Phenax. He's going to be really, really fun, I think, in this deck that I'm working on. And I think milling will just become a lot stronger because of Phenax. Especially in limited, I think he's going to be extremely huge. But even in constructed, I can already start thinking that there are some milling decks, slight milling decks that are coming up in some of the tournaments that I've seen. They don't do extremely well, but it's something different, and I think Phenax is just going to make that a lot easier to sort of base around a strategy. So anyways, let's get on with the deck. This is what I've come up with. Now, tappedout.net doesn't have Phenax in the database yet, so you can't actually see him. So I've actually just put down Erebos. Just pretend this is Phenax. So for our creature base, we're running Axebane Guardians. If you're running a defender deck, there's no reason not to have Axebane Guardians. It's going to help us ramp, and it's just going to make everything much better. And then we're running 3 copies of him. So he's just going to allow us to get mass amounts of mana, and it's going to help us a lot. Corpse Blockade, I'm running this because it's a 1/4 defender, so it can actually work pretty well against those 2/1 creatures. You can block them and kill them off. It also allows me to work pretty well in sort of just killing off things if I want to chump block it. I'm fine with sacrificing a creature, because if I do have Phenax out, I can just tap it, get the mill off, and then use Corpse Blockade to sacrifice it while it's blocking something to give Corpse Blockade Death Touch. And I'm fine with trading off for like a large creature or something like that. I am thinking maybe running Soul Ransom in this deck as well, just a couple of them to work with Corpse Blockade, because it'd be really awesome to use Soul Ransom, and then even if they try to discard 2 cards and bring back their guy, I can sacrifice them in response before they get it, as well as still get the 2 cards drawn for myself. So that's one thing I'm might experiment with. But yeah, it's just a nice 1/4 for 3 defender. And the 1 toughness is applicable against those really aggressive decks when they have Dryad Militants or Soldiers of Pantheon, stuff like that, and this can kill them off. And then we're running 3 copies of Phenax, so this would ignore the Erebos. This would be Phenax. 3 is, I think, fine. Might even drop it down to 2, but he is going to be the core of our deck, so I think 3 is good for now. We don't want to run 4 of them because he is 5 mana. We are playing some ramp, so it is going to be we should be able to hit him. Turn 4 probably is when we want to get him out there at least. Then we're running 3 copies of Murmuring Phantasm. It's just a nice big body for a 2 mana. 2 mana for 5 mil essentially. Once we have Phenax out is awesome. Then we're running 3 copies of Prophet of Krufix. Again, one of our main cards that we need in this deck. It just allows us to mill a lot more aggressively than if we didn't have Prophet out. So this allows us to not only cast stuff on our opponent's turn, creatures if we have them, just for the fact we can untap all our creatures and lands allows us to mill on their turn as well as mill on our turn if we want to, or just at least leave up blockers on our turn and then mill on their turn and still have a lot of mana to do some really fun stuff. So that is one of our core cards, and then we're running 4 copies of Sylvan Caryatid, just a nice, easy defender that helps us ramp, as well as it's a little bit hard to get rid of, so it does help sort of against that spot removal, that it can't be touched by that. Then we're running 2 copies of Wall of Frost. Wall of Frost I really like because it does help against those really aggressive decks, but it's big enough to block against things like Pelucranos and those really big bodies. And not only that, it just buys us some time. So they can't untap during their next untap step. So it just really helps us in sort of halting their attack or at least slowing down the damage a lot. And again, since we're running defenders, it is going to be, unless they have direct removal, not just burn. The nice thing about defenders is all the bodies are too big for them to burn generally. Except for things like Axebane Guardian, of course, and Corpse Blockade. But Wall of Frost, Murmuring Phantasm, those guys aren't going to be able to get rid of so easily, and Sylvan Caryatid is hexproof, so it's really nice in the sense that they are going to have a lot of removal, or at least pump up their guys a lot to be able to kill off our guys. So plus essentially once we get Phenax out, that is 7 mil right there. Plus the 2 Blue Devotion does help with getting our guy online. So now the one problem I see in this, this deck isn't trying to get Phenax online. We're just using Phenax for the mill ability, honestly. If we want to try and get him online, I would, of course, probably add in some more black permanents, because we won't be able to get him online with what we have here. But again, we just want him for the mill. That's all we want him for. Getting him online would be nice, but it's definitely not what this deck is going for. This deck is just wanting to be a really aggressive mill deck and just try and win with a really aggressive mill. Now we're running 22 lands only because we have 7 ways that we can ramp. So playing a little bit of a lower land count, even dropping it to 21 lands might work. Then we're running 10 instances. We're running 3 copies of Devour Flesh and 4 copies of Hero's Downfall. Those are our removal spells pretty much, and Hero's Downfall hits pretty much anything. It also allows us to hit Planeswalkers if we want to. Devour Flesh is nice because it's a nice early removal. Keep their board clean in the early game. Of course, it loses its effectiveness later on, but it also allows us, if we have to absolutely sort of buy us another turn or something to sort of get a couple more mills off, it allows us to sacrifice one of our own guys, and because we are playing defenders, we get quite a bit of life back from Devour Flesh, sacrificing Wall of Frost or something and getting a nice 7 life bump. So that is another option with Devour Flesh. Then we're running 3 copies of Psychic Strike. So this is for countering just those spells that we can't really deal with once they're on the field. So anything hexproof or something like that, because we aren't going to be able to kill anything off with our creatures. So we want to be able to Psychic Strike a lot of those cards that we can't have them doing anything with. So that is the main reason why we're running Psychic Strike, and of course we're running Psychic Strike because it has mill applied to it, and with our ramping and stuff like that, we should have no problem hitting a blue, black, and a colorless. So that's why we're running these rather than something like Dissolve, because we are running 8 Scrylands to help us fix a lot of our stuff, plus 2 copies of Read the Bones. So we should have no problem in hitting all of our stuff that we need to. Then for sorcerers, we're running 3 copies of Pilfered Plans. So this is in place of Divination. So normally I'd run Divination for card draw, but because we are a mill deck, this does exactly what Divination does for the same cost, but we get the addition of milling them for 2. So there's no reason why to play Divination over Pilfered Plans in this deck. Then for running 3 copies of Ashiok, my Nightmare Weaver. So Ashiok is just a great mill planeswalker, of course, and because we are running a lot of defenders, unless they have burn or hero's downfall or something, it is going to be a lot easier for us to defend Ashiok, and generally we just want to mill them as much as we can with Ashiok, and we have the addition of hopefully pulling something awesome like a good creature to help in our own battlefield, so we can at least minus X him and use their own creatures against them, hopefully. And hopefully, if we're playing against, mono blue or mono black or something, pulling off a Desecration Demon or a Night Veil Spectre would be really, really awesome, milling them with Ashiok, because this would allow us to build devotion towards getting Phenax online with their own creatures, which is awesome. So yeah, this is the deck. It's really early, of course, in its life, and I'm really excited to see what else Born of the Gods has to offer to sort of supplement Phenax. But overall, Phenax just seems to be really, really fun, and just play testing and gold fishing with this defender deck. I was able to get all my cards online, like the perfect setup, by turn 8. And it was at the point where on their turn I can mill them for 20, and that is insane, being able to do that. So I mean, that of course is thinking in Magical Christmas Land a little bit, but I was drawing removal, and I was drawing Read the Bones and Pilfered Plans and stuff like that. Read the Bones is just gonna as well help us fix our draws when we need to, and yeah. So that is the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this sort of little nice switch in things, a little bit of a change, a little bit of a pre-release deck tech, I guess. I'll try and make more of these if I find a really fun card that I want to sort of build around. I mean, there's a lot of good ones in Born of the Gods coming out, but Phenax just sort of caught my eye just because I wanted to capitalize on people not being too happy with the mill on him. I think he's actually going to become quite popular, especially in casual, because everyone loves milling in casual. So I think he might still be decently priced, honestly. And he's not amazing in constructed, but he is a card that if you build around him, I think can be pretty destructive. And there are milling strategies out there already, and this card obviously just sort of supplements that and extends it even more. So yeah, that is my deck. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. If you guys have any more suggestions on how I can improve the milling deck, please let me know, and I will definitely get on it. But I definitely hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for watching.